Good morning, everyone. Or I should say good afternoon, everyone. My name is Simone Graziani, and I'm a Senior Wellbeing Officer at Vision Australia. And today we're going to be, or I'm going to be the host of our webinar where we explore how technology enhances daily living for people with vision loss. So our special guest today is Kent Woolstoff. Welcome, Kent.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Before we get started, Kent, do you mind just giving everybody a bit of a overview of what your role is at Vision Australia and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I've been with Vision Australia for about 9 years now, and I work as a access technology development lead. So it's a big, long name, but I have many hats across the organisation. I work with people who go out and visit our blind and low vision clients, where I support them in making sure that they're using the right technology, and they do the consultation and training and have all the tools that they need to be successful with their clients. And I also do a lot of consulting as well for businesses. So I'll go into a business or organization and help test their systems to make sure it's accessible, and provide a report on that. And probably the last thing that I do is I go and visit Tasmania. So I'm fortunate enough to fly over there a couple of times a year and visit all the kids in school as well. So I love working with kids and working with the teachers to help them get the tools and the technology that they need to be successful in their schooling. So yeah, a few hats here, but love it all.
Wow. Amazing, amazing. So I guess the topic today is exploring the tools and devices that foster self-reliance, from assistive technologies to smart home innovations. So I guess my first question to you would be, what are some of the most effective assistive technologies and smart home innovations that promote self-reliance and independence for someone living with vision loss?
Yeah, so I think to start off that conversation, it's definitely worth talking about smart devices in the home. And the reason why these devices are particularly important, especially nowadays, is that it's a low cost entry for not just people with vision loss, but for everyone. And it's pretty uncommon nowadays to find, sort of a modern family, I'd say, to not have some of these devices in their home. And in particular, with our blind and low vision community, they are quite popular. And the reason why they're so popular is because you can set them up in your home, and you talk to them and they talk back. So what is a smart device? So I've got actually one here for the people that can see the screen. I'll describe it for you. This is a Alexa device. We call it Alexa. It's from the company called Amazon. Each of the major tech companies have their own version of something like this. And it's what this particular one's about, I don't know, the size of my palm, and it's got microphones that are on it, as well as a speaker. And at its core, what these devices do is connect to your internet at home, and it basically will pick up when you want to speak to it. So for example, with Alexa, you say, "Hey Alexa, what's the weather like today?" And it will respond to you. So that technology has been around for a little while, and people have used that for something like calendar management is a very popular one. So people have busy schedules, when to take certain medications. They can use actually the calendar feature of these smart devices to know what to take on a particular day, or know that they've got a doctor's appointment next Wednesday. You talk to these smart speakers and they respond. What's super interesting nowadays is, and we're going to talk a little bit about this as we go through this topic, is the rise of artificial intelligence and what that actually is. And these devices are becoming smarter in the way that they can understand what we're asking and the way that they respond. And probably long story short, because I could go on for hours and hours talking about this technology, but it's really like talking to a super smart person, and they are becoming incredibly fast. They understand human conversation, and it means that you can kind of talk to it, and you can stutter, you can pause, but it will still understand what you're trying to get to, or the information that you need. And I'm going to give you a demonstration in a little while about some of that technology. But smart devices are very, very popular for people who want to be independent in their home. And we see it a lot with people that want to read audiobooks. They can talk to specific devices and get that happening. We can see the calendar measurement, as I said. You can also use it to drop in on people. And what I mean by that is you can actually call up other devices that other people may have and talk to them. And again, that's all voice activated.
Mm.
So yeah, this rise of the smart devices is something that's very prominent. I myself have, I think, 4 devices at home in each one of my major rooms. And one of the great things that you can do, just to sort of blow your mind with this a little bit, is these things can connect to other things in your home.
Mm.
So what that means is I can wake up in the morning and say, Alexa, start my day. And my lights that might be smart lights will turn on. My curtains that might be smart curtains will open. My coffee machine downstairs might be connected and that will start to percolate. My vacuum cleaner might start up and do a particular room. And that's all triggered by one command that I have. So that's where the technology is kind of at nowadays, just for people trying to understand what's happening on that side.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, I've heard of my clients using it for listening to the radio or listening to the TV if they've got a smart TV, but I hadn't thought about all those other options. Goodness, it's like the Jetsons, isn't it? When we were young and that TV show was on and everything was done for us. Incredible.
Yeah, and I mean that whole world of this technology is speeding up very, very quickly, and in the last year, there's
Mm.
leaps and bounds and this kind of stuff. So,
Mm.
in the past, people might have used this technology before, and you had to be very direct and very clear with what you wanted to ask. And if you stuttered or if you got it slightly wrong, it wouldn't be able to understand what you were trying to say or what you wanted to do.
Mm.
Nowadays, with the new technology that's coming out, you can stutter, you can talk backwards and forwards until you get the right answer or you get it to do what you want, and it's very, very I guess in one way terrifying, and in one way super important for people that need that kind of access, that need that kind of support. So it's really quite a powerful tool.
Yeah, great. I'm just going to pause there because Elizabeth Porter has her hand raised. If you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll try and answer them as we go through the webinar for everybody, just to make it a bit more interactive. So, tell me a little bit more about the screen reader technology. I've heard that you can go to, say, a Commonwealth Bank and be able to use a teller. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so screen reader technology basically means on digital interfaces. So digital interfaces being things like computers and mobile phones, ATMs, kiosks in shopping centers, anything that's kind of got a digital screen. There is the possibility to run what we call a screen reader on that. Now, what is a screen reader? A screen reader is a tool for people with low vision, and it can be various stages of low vision. You don't have to be blind to use a screen reader. It can be that your eyes get tired in particular days, or that your vision is at such a level that you need to have audio support. And a screen reader basically converts the information that's on the screen, or the visual information that's on the screen, into audio, so you can listen to the content. Now, that's kind of cool, because what it means is that for someone wanting to access the computer, you actually don't have to see the computer at all. You can actually do the whole thing and work a computer just like everyone that has full vision, exactly the same way with a screen reader. And what we're starting to find a lot more is accessibility is becoming more prominent in other devices. And the example that I have is with Commonwealth ATMs. So you can actually go up to a Commonwealth ATM, and in the past, that ATM would be only visual. But nowadays, ATMs have like a little jack where you can put in some headphones. And as soon as you do that, what you're telling the ATM to do is to start a screen reader, and you can actually navigate the ATM by just using audio. So we're finding that this kind of screen reader technology, this ability to make digital platforms accessible, is becoming more prominent. And we know that businesses are thinking about this a lot more, because they want to make sure that their tools and their information is accessible for everyone. So it's becoming kind of more ingrained nowadays in businesses releasing these kinds of products.
Great. I have actually seen that Vision Australia has included a video under their Life Hack series that shows or demonstrates how you can actually use technology in a number of areas. And I'm pretty sure the ATM is a recent one that's just been put up on that Life Hacks screen on the website. So if you are on the Vision Australia website, you can just type in Life Hacks and it should bring up a variety of videos that can help you, and some are technology based. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't seen that for a little while, but yes, the idea is that there's sort of tips and tricks and things that are out there that can help you to be more independent out in the community and at home as well. So yes, they'll be worth checking it out.
Perfect. Now, Jean has just asked a question about the cost, and I think he asked that question around the Alexa when we were talking about the Alexa.
Yeah, so the cost of the devices. So yeah, again, one of the reasons why these devices are so popular is it's a low entry fee. So you can pick up, I've seen even Google's devices. So Google have their own products, smart devices, as low as $15 when they're on sale. And often they'll come up for sale when the next product's about to be released because they want to clear their stock out. So you can get in as little as $15 for some of these. Just note that to have these devices in your home, you have to have some form of internet and Wi-Fi. So it's not like you can pick this up and connect it to your phone's internet. You actually have to have it in your home, so it's always connected. And when you speak to it, it sends that information off to the company. There are a whole bunch of privacy protocols that they have in place. So it's not like it's just going out into the ether and everyone can listen in, but it sends it off to understand what you're trying to ask. It can search the web, search the internet for the questions that you need, and then report back through the device. So that's why the internet must be there. If you don't have the internet, you can't use them.
That's a really good point. And I know Vision Australia also run an Alexa Dot program. So for any of those people that are interested, I often refer clients to the Alexa Dot program where we actually post an Alexa out to you for free if you participate in I think is it 8 weekly course where you learn everything about the program?
Yeah, it's a fantastic course. I think at the moment we're tracking to 88 people that are coming into the next course, which begins in I think about a couple of weeks. So that one's almost full. But
Wow.
this course, yeah, basically it's just funded or home care package funded, and we do all the legwork for you. So we provide you with a device. We help you get set up so you can join the actual training sessions. We also have someone that can come and install the device if you can't do that yourself. So they'll actually come out to your home and connect it to your internet, and you're all kind of set up from our end. So it's a very popular program, and it's one worth checking out if you're interested in using these products.
Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. A lot of my clients who are over the age of 65 have registered for it and found that it's helped them in so many areas of their life that they didn't feel that I guess they didn't think that it could. And for some people that are over the age of 65 and living by themselves, it provided them with company. They've got someone to chat to. They can, I think there's some questions you can answer. It's like is there a quiz that you can do daily and things like that?
Yeah, so Alexa, I know Alexa because that's the one that I have at home, but they all have their own sort of skills, is what it's called in Alexa. So there's a particular skill which is a quiz, and you can ask it, quiz me, and it will give you sort of a bunch of questions, and it will tell you if you're right or wrong, and give you a score at the end. So there's a whole bunch of little sort of funny things that these devices can sort of tap into, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, great. There's a question from Jean, whereas he or she's in Queensland, and they're just wondering how the Alexa Dot program is run.
Yeah, so the program is run via teleconference. So it's basically that you have someone that will help you get set up so that you can join that conference, and then that's led by our help desk team. So they'll log on, they talk to you about what the device is. They'll give you some basic commands that you can learn. And it's not that you'll do it there and then with your device. It's just more of an information session where you go back and then you start to use the device yourself. It can take a little while to get kind of used to that, but it's really them teaching you what you need to say to the device to get a particular result. So that's how that works. You don't have to leave your home. It's all done inside your own home. You just have to be able to log in to this particular conference. And again, we kind of help you and get you set up for that with our help desk prior to that course starting.
Amazing. I just want to track back to a question for my own interest. When you said earlier that you start your day, what was the command you give Alexa? Start my day. So how does Alexa know to do all those things that you've asked it to do?
Yeah, so with Alexa, again, Alexa's my thing. So I've been using Alexa for a long time now. It's called a routine, and a routine is basically it's an application on your phone that you go into, and you go, I want to start a new routine. And it can be the routine can start by a number of different ways. It can start by a particular time of day. So sometimes for kids, we have parents that go, we want to get them into a routine. So we can set up a routine that 7 o'clock every morning, the device comes on, hey, it's time to wake up. And then after it says that, it can actually play a song to help them kind of get in the mood and wake up and those kinds of things. So yeah, it's based on this idea of a routine. For my particular routine, I use the command start my day. So I might wake up a little bit later some days. I might wake up a little bit earlier. So I get to choose when I start my routine. And as soon as I do that, it plays a podcast. I subscribe to a news podcast that's just for 5 minutes long. It will play that. And then after it plays that, it will play my playlist of a bunch of music that I like. So that kind of gets me going for the day. So that's my particular routine that I have. But those can be very customizable based on what you want to have.
That's amazing, because I know so many clients that really miss reading the newspaper, and they don't think that you can get the newspaper read to you, through the Vision Australia radio, the Radio Reading Network, and Alexa now. So there's so many different ways that you can, I guess, rehash your morning routine. So thanks for sharing that. That's amazing. Margaret Elizabeth Brown, you've put your hand up. Unfortunately, you're muted in this conversation. So if you would like to ask a question, you will have to put it in the chat in writing. All righty. So next question for Kent. Discuss how some of this technology is helping people to become more independent within their home and I guess within the community.
Yeah, so I think one of the big things that I sort of mentioned to just at the start there was this rise of artificial intelligence, and I think it's really worth touching on this. This is probably the biggest shift in technology that I've certainly seen in my time at Vision Australia, and probably people are calling it the biggest shift in technology possibly ever. It's had the biggest uptake in users since it's kind of been released and been brought into the mainstream. So what is artificial intelligence? It's basically a software that can understand, it can use logic, and it can use reasoning to give you back an answer. And it does it all super, super quickly. And I'm going to give you an example of it in a second. So how does this have an impact in regaining more independence in the home or community? So one of the things I want to demonstrate is I've got a menu here right in front of me. Now, this menu is from unfortunately, it's from a restaurant that's shut down in Geelong, where I'm from. But it's something where in the past, we could read this menu if we couldn't visually read it. So we could listen to the menu. And the way we would do that is we'd take a picture of it with our phone. There's applications that will scan the content and read it back. Now, prior to artificial intelligence, it was a bit of a problem, because what would tend to happen is when you'll take a picture of it and read it back, it might not get the words right. You might have to listen to the whole thing until you get to where you want. A really clear example is, say, if you get like a water bill, or if you get like an electricity bill in your mail, and you don't want to hear everything on there. All you want to know is maybe the due date, and you want to know how much you have to pay, and that's it. You don't want to listen to everything else.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that in the past. We can do that now. So what I'm going to do, and I hope this comes through okay, is I'm going to open up an application called Seeing AI. So Seeing AI is a free app. It's a very popular app. It's actually it was originally built by Microsoft, and it's available on both iPhones and Android phones. I don't want to get too hung up in the technology, but more about how it's being used. So this is an app where
540.26 to the do.
Okay.
No edges visible.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause it there for a second. So I'm going to take a picture of this menu. Okay, so I'm going to bring up my phone.
No edges visible. Left edge not processing.
Okay, so it's opened up the document, and I can then play this to read it. But what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to quiz it, and let's see if it's actually worked. Hopefully it does. Sometimes in these things it doesn't, but let's have a go. So I'm going to ask for how much are the chips? So I'm going to type this in for the purpose of this, but I can also speak it in. So how much are the chips? And I'm going to enter that in.
The chips are priced at 10.
The chips are priced at 10, and that's exactly right. So right in the middle of this document, it's got the chips amount, and it's told me how much that is. Now, back in the day, we'd have to listen to the entire menu until we got there. And sometimes it would be right and sometimes it will be wrong. So basically nowadays with this artificial intelligence, we can quiz it, information, what we actually want to find, how much, sugar content is in that package of food, or, is there anything, is there a particular drink on the menu that we want to have? So it's giving people a lot more of a quicker way to access information.
Mm. A lot of my clients use it for shopping, and particularly they buy small magnifiers, but then they forget to bring them with them. So I've been encouraging them to use that Seeing AI app, because you can scan barcodes and it will tell you the name of the product, the price, the grams, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And nowadays as well, there's other emerging technologies where you can wear sort of glasses that connect into these kinds of apps as well, which I think we're going to get to in a second. But I want to just extend you a little bit further, if that's okay, into this whole nother world of AI, where I'm going to start a conversation with a program. So this is kind of the pinnacle of the technology at the moment. Now, this conversation is very much, I haven't got anything planned. The robot or the AI doesn't know anything that I'm going to ask. And I'm just going to ask some obscure questions based on anything really, and just see what it says. Okay. So.
And who are you asking? Seeing AI or Alexa?
This is actually ChatGPT.
Okay. ChatGPT.
So ChatGPT is one of the first companies that released an artificial intelligence. And the reason why this particular company is really important is because a lot of the technology companies in blind and low vision are using this engine. So if you think of this as like an engine, and the engine is being used in different cars, and each one of those cars is a different company. So this is the engine that's behind a lot of these different applications.
Okay, great.
So are we ready? Because this is pretty freaky. Okay, here we go. Hello, are you there?
I'm here. What's up?
Hey, I'm just running a webinar with a few people on the line. Can you just say hi for a second?
Sure thing. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing well.
We're actually discussing low vision applications and blindness products as well, for sort of maintaining independence in the home. Can you give me just a bit of an overview of one particular app that you want to talk about?
Of course. Let's talk about Seeing AI. It's a free app developed by Microsoft that helps people with low vision or blindness by narrating the world around them. It can read text, identify products via barcodes, describe scenes, recognize currency, and even identify people and their emotions. It's super handy for daily tasks and improving independence at home.
That's super cool. I'm going to change the subject now, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Okay. Can you tell me how long it is from Vision Australia in Kooyong to Geelong in terms of traveling by car? Now it's searching.
According to Rome to Rio, driving from Vision Australia's Kooyong office to Geelong takes about an hour, covering approximately 81 kilometers.
That's super cool. Did you have to go onto the internet to find that, or did you just know that?
I looked it up to make sure I gave you the most accurate and up-to-date info.
So that's just a very quick conversation that you have. But I think it's worth just noting how people are using that, because again, it's very new, but it can really be a way to converse with basically the world of knowledge that we have in a digital format. So people are using this for all kinds of weird and wonderful ways. For blind and low vision community, again, it can be a really quick way to access information without having to need to know how to use a screen reader to access a computer. It's becoming that good in being able to search the internet and respond. It's also being used for people. I know people through reading articles that are using it as a counselor, because it's always there. It will always respond, and it's drawing on all this information that it can find to try and help you out of a particularly tricky time. So that's a kind of a new area. It's being used to help people with finances. So, if you wanted to compare your mortgage rate to somewhere else, it's whatever you want it to be. It's able to do it, and it's able to do it in a split second. So kind of scary, kind of cool, pretty exciting, but very, very new for all of us.
Amazing. It definitely saves us time, that's for sure. But hopefully it won't put me out of a job. Just joking. I don't think it ever will. But so we've got Margaret Elizabeth who's asking if Alexa is only for Apple.
No, so Alexa is Amazon's product. It's actually got nothing to do with Apple. So the way to think about this is there's Google, there's Amazon, and there's Apple. And each one of those people have smart devices, which are actual physical devices that sit in your home. Okay. So there are other companies that create their own, but they tap into one of those three. So Alexa is Amazon's product. It ties in with Amazon because it's the only product that will tap into something like Audible being a large library of audiobooks. Any which way you go, you're going to kind of get the same result for the basic stuff. So it doesn't really matter where you go. Apple probably a little bit less at the moment. I think it's going to increase, but Alexa and Google, it's kind of like a 50-50 split between which way you go. I go with Alexa because I got them for cheap and I've stuck with Alexa, but I know a lot of people that have Google. So yep, Alexa is Amazon's product.
Perfect. And Robin Delaney has asked, is Alexa the same as Siri on my phone?
It's the same kind of technology, which means it's a voice activation technology, but it's not Siri. Siri is Apple's voice technology. So Apple have their own devices. They're called HomePods, and they use their own technology. So yep, Siri is on everyone's iPhones. It's available there. And that's when you talk to your phone on an iPhone, that's what you're getting back, the Siri technology, and they call it Siri.
Do you want to give us a quick demonstration of the Alexa? That might clear a few things up for people, if that's okay.
This Alexa's not plugged in, but what I can do is I can actually do it on my app here. So let me bring up Alexa.
Perfect, thank you. Sometimes it is better for people to see, and then they can kind of cement that knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if I can. How am I going to do this? Hey, Alexa, start my day.
Here's Fast 5, the 5th of May 2025.
The end of the financial year is a time to plan ahead and set your business up for success. Get access to a business loan of up to $500,000.
So what just happened there is the routine that I talked about. So start my day. So I said, hey, Alexa, start my day. And that started playing the podcast that I had first on the list of my routine. So Alexa's triggered again because I said, hey, Alexa, so let's just try something else. Alexa, what's the weather like today in Melbourne?
In Melbourne, Victoria, it's 22 degrees Celsius with clear skies and sun. Today, you can expect mostly sunny weather with a high of 25 degrees and a low of 16 degrees.
So again, voice technology, right? I'm speaking to the device, it's speaking back. It's nothing like ChatGPT where I had the conversation. It can't do that yet. That's this technology is the old technology. ChatGPT is the new technology. So that's kind of the difference between the two.
And I guess the difference between Siri, Alexa, and Google is what you say. So if you say, hey, Siri, Siri's going to answer if you say, hey, Alexa. So you have to actually ask that product its name in the question to start it.
Yeah, that's right. And my kids are getting very good at doing that because I've got I'm a techie, so I've got devices all through the house, and they know what rooms to ask
what question
robot. So yeah, that's exactly right.
That's so cool. And if I've got here some informational PickyBot. What's a PickyBot?
Yeah, PickyBot's another application. So that's an application that's specifically designed to describe scenes or imagery. So again, another leap with this rise of artificial intelligence is that you can actually take photos of different areas or different environments on your phone, and those applications can actually describe what it sees. And maybe 5 years ago, it would say, I can see a desk with a screen on it, and that's all you'd get. Nowadays, it will actually specifically talk about each item on that desk. It will say where it is. It will announce any text it can see. It can give you a pretty full-blown description of that device. I think I do have it. If you want me to take a look, I can probably provide a demo. Let me just have a quick look here.
Could that be possibly used for travel? Because I know a lot of my clients over the age of 65, they want to travel, but they're a bit worried about traveling because they're going to miss out on seeing all these amazing things. So would that be the best technology to use when you're traveling, or would you prefer, say, seeing AI or something like that?
Well, you do have the option of choosing. I don't have Piggyback on my phone, so I can't demonstrate that, but I'll tell you the differences between some of them.
Great.
Some of them will read back in a different way. So Piggyback's actually got this kind of cheekiness and kind of more of a human element to it, where it kind of be like, oh, you've got a whole bunch of leads there that are on the desk that are visible, and it will use kind of emotive language to describe what it sees. So very much kind of more like a way of like a mate would sort of describe a scene for you. Seeing AI can also do it as well. So that, again, it's a free application, and you can get that to take a photo and describe a scene too. That's much more of an objective. This is what I can see, and this is what you're getting. In terms of travel, absolutely. You can go around and take photos of wherever you are and get a description of what is coming through the camera lens. And we've had clients that I know that have used it for like old photos. So what you can do is you can pull out a whole bunch of old photos that can be in digital format, which means it can be actually on your phone. That could have been from years ago that you've somehow got onto your phone, or it could be like photo albums from a long time ago. And you can actually get a device like this, take a picture of that photo and describe to you what that photo is about. And that's really, really cool. So for people that want to go back on maybe their old wedding photos and just have a bit of a listen about what this these things can say about it. I knew a photographer that had lost their vision, and they used it to determine whether they wanted to keep the photo or move it on. So yeah, the technology is available, and it's pretty interesting when you get a description of what it's kind of seen, because it's a lot of information. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. We have lots of clients that use that as reminiscence therapy. They sit down together and they look at old photos, and if they can't get out of the house due to mobility issues, then they can spend some time reminiscing about old times. It's a great app to be able to use that for. I also found seeing AI a little bit cheeky, because I showed one of my colleagues in the office, we used it to show my daughter's HSC artwork. And not only did it describe the HSC artwork in great detail, it also said it's in a very messy art room with paints everywhere. And I thought that's quite funny. They definitely show emotion, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I suspect that's going to become more and more. I actually had a student in Tasmania who needed to, for a part of his subject, he needed to review a piece of imagery that was used in cinema and describe what he kind of thought that was all about. And he obviously couldn't see the detail of the screen. He used Piggyback to give a description. And what was really interesting, what he said was, I know that scene, and I know exactly what it's trying to describe, and it sounds pretty accurate to me. So it was like, the lighting's moody, and, I can see the silhouette of the face and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's pretty incredible how far that technology's come just within the last year.
And I also feel a lot of clients that I speak with, when they go out socially, they feel like they're limited, because quite often their friends will show them pictures of their grandchildren and say, look at this. And then they get a little bit frustrated because they have to say, oh, I can't see that. So I've encouraged them to say, well, I can't see it, but let's use this app and see what this app describes the picture as being. So they can then be involved in that conversation, because social connections are so important when you get older as well. So using the app for just basic things is really enables you to, I guess, remain part of the conversation and not feel so socially isolated.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing things now where there's wearable technology, which, I've got a pair of glasses on myself, and it's getting to the point now where there's a new product called Meta glasses that have just come to market, where they've got two cameras on the side, and you wouldn't know that those cameras are there. And people can use those cameras to take videos, to read text, to even translate when you're out in another country. So again, that's another area of development that's happening, where we're getting these technologies that not just the blind and low vision community are using, but everyone's using. And I think that's what happened with smart speakers, is that everyone got an uptake on it, and it just translates so well to all people. So yeah, that's definitely coming. or it's already
Yeah,
here, really.
we had a demonstration of those glasses the other week, and you can actually buy them from mainstream shops now. It's really, like you said, becoming much more mainstream.
Well, the Ray-Bans. So,
Yeah.
you know, they that's the company that's built them with Facebook or Meta that they're called now. So they are going to be everywhere, and
they look pretty cool too.
they look just like Ray-Bans. You wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, exactly. So people use different kinds of mediums to interact, and we've just talked about a few of them there. Can you talk about how some perhaps health apps or wearables, we just talked about wearables, or virtual fitness programs that support physical well-being, mindfulness, and stress reduction? I mean, we've talked about social, but we haven't really talked about physical mindfulness and stress reduction.
Yeah, I mean, so again, software is kind of king in this realm. So the one I wanted to pay attention to was just smart wearable watches in particular, and I've got an Apple Watch myself. An Apple Watch connects to my phone, so really you need to have an Apple phone to have an Apple Watch because they communicate together. But the Apple Watch is pretty incredible. It's definitely developed over the years that I've seen the Apple Watch come to market, and it can include things like falls detection. So in terms of being safe out in the community, if you have a fall, it can actually detect that, and you can actually launch an SOS from the watch itself. And I actually read an interesting article about a guy who got stranded in the ocean. I'm not too sure if you heard about this, but he was in the ocean. He got swept out to sea. No one knew he was there, and he actually triggered the SOS on his watch. And it uses a different kind of technology to connect. And 5 minutes later, a helicopter came and got him out of the water and saved his life. So again, an Apple Watch is a very powerful tool because it does have things like heart rate monitor. So you can actually monitor your heart rate if you go to your GP and you want to get that checked on a consistent basis. It has an ECG monitor as well. And I've actually used this monitor, this ECG. And what you do is you rest, you have your phone on, your watch on your wrist, and you just tap with your finger on the side button, and it can pick up the electromagnetic signals of your of those two touch points, and actually provide you with an ECG. As basic as it is, it's not a replacement for the doctors or anything like that, but it's available there.
Wow.
And the other one that I actually find quite interesting is there's an app that Apple released not too long ago, which is a Vitals app. And what that does is if you go to sleep and you sleep for over sort of 5 nights, it will take a reading of your vitals. And I think it's something in there like how well you slept, your heart rate, your breathing rate, your blood oxygen level. I don't know how it does that, but they say it does. And then it kind of will give you a bit of a map about how you're going each night. And it will actually pick up things like you might be coming down with the cold because this particular vital's out of whack. Or it could be that you can share that information with your GP if you think something's of concern. Again, I would say it's kind of like a basic reader. I think the heart rate stuff's actually really good. I'm a runner myself, so I use it for checking my run heart rate and also how long it takes me to recover. But yeah, that's the kind of health technology that's onto market, and it just fits on your wrist. So that's one example of that kind of tech.
Absolutely incredible. My goodness. So if you could highlight some accessible digital training programs that promote confidence, digital literacy, particularly for older Australians and people with disabilities, because, it can get, some people get a little bit frightened by using new technology. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about the Alexa program, and I definitely think that's worth a lot of people checking that one out if you're really interested in being able to use smart technology. So I will say that is based on the old voice activation technology, but for some people, that's all they really need. They just want to be able to do that particular course. So the Alexa course is one worth reviewing, and that's from Vision Australia. I think all I'd probably touch on outside of that is Vision Australia have access technology specialists, and my job is to make sure they're trained to be able to do their job. And we've had some people around for 30 years. I was talking to one of the technology specialists today. He's been here for 30 years. And we are across a whole range of technology. So in terms of being able to get training and consultation and an understanding of what technology might be available to you, it's really worthwhile reaching out to us to come out and talk to you about, some things that you might want to look into. And the way that I sort of explain it to people to think about is, think about not in terms of the technology that you want, think about it in terms of what you're trying to do. Is there something particular that you're struggling with doing, or a particular challenge, or something that you haven't done before and you want to be able to do it? And then we'll come up with the technology or some of the solutions that we can trial with you. So I always recommend to reach out to Vision Australia if you need any of that support, because that's definitely the area that I work in. I've been doing that for a long time now. And I've seen the benefits of people just asking the question, I haven't been able to do this for a long time. What's available for me to be able to do this now? And we can sort of help you navigate that.
That's so true. I had a client who, due to mobility issues, can't really leave the house or do anything, and he's at home and he's bored. We talked about what he used to enjoy, and he used to love sport, and we talked about podcasts, and he'd never heard of podcasts. So the lovely Andreas, the technology specialist from Newcastle, went out there
He's
and
good. He's
taught
good.
him how, yeah, he's amazing, taught him how to access podcasts, how to listen to them. And the next time I spoke to him on the phone, he was so excited. He couldn't wait to tell me about all the things that he'd learned on these podcasts. So it really opened up his world. And it was just through asking one question and asking for help. Like you said, it's really important to ask for help. Yeah.
Yeah, and podcasts are a typical example. I mean, podcasts have exploded. What is a podcast for people that don't know? It's basically this kind of situation, what I'm doing here, where I'm talking. There's often 2 people or 3 people, or even just one person sometimes, and they just record that and they release it online where you can just go and access it. So comedians have their own podcasts, news people have their own podcasts, different personalities have their own podcasts about a whole range of different subjects. So if nothing else, podcasts can provide you with hours and hours of entertainment. Anything like my wife, she is into true crime. It's very rare I don't see her without headphones on listening to some fascinating, weird and wonderful podcast on true crime. So yeah, if that's just something you want to explore, again, one of these Alexa devices, you can request any podcast that it is on the internet, and it's a really popular thing.
I'm going to Italy shortly, and I've been listening to podcasts on Italy, so to learn about, what I need to do. And yeah, it's fantastic. Now, Janet Kelly has a question. With low vision, how does one read or watch, such as reading blood pressure, etc.?
Well, it kind of depends. So with reading blood pressure, it depends on the kind of device that you're currently using. So the first question I would ask is, what are you currently using to monitor? And then is there anything that we can use above that to help you to access that information? So I know, for instance, just moving outside of blood pressure with diabetes, there are particular programs that you can use that are accessible, that you can listen to your readings. It could be as simple as, is there a particular magnifier that we can use, or a CCTV or something like that can monitor those levels? But it really is independent of or dependent on your kind of circumstance and how you're doing it currently. So the first question I'll be asking is, what are you doing currently? What's your vision like? And then we kind of go from there and go down the path of, is it a magnification thing? Is that we have to look at alternative options like audio some way? Is it that we use some sort of seeing AI tool that might work? The challenge, I think, there is making sure that it's accurate, because you don't want to get it wrong, right? So we have to make sure that it is suitable. And that's why I wouldn't say, this is what you go and use this. It's really going to be making sure that it's fit for you.
Exactly. And under your doctor's advice, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing, we've talked about some amazing technology, but what we haven't explored is a couple of other items of technology, one being a mobility cane and Braille technology as well. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things is that people are still innovating in Braille technology in particular. So one of the recent products that I've seen come to market is a Braille display, which is a multi-line Braille display. So for someone who requires Braille, we usually associate Braille with people who are blind, but not necessarily. It can be people with severe low vision where reading is no longer an option. So Braille, you're able to read in silence. You don't have to have someone speak it back to you. and it gives people the literacy, so you can actually check spelling and formatting and those kinds of things in Braille. So that's what, that's where Braille is super, super important. And we're definitely big advocates of Braille here at Vision Australia.
Yep.
So with Braille, we've got new technology coming out, which is multi-line Braille, which means that as opposed to connecting a Braille device to a computer and reading that way across what we call a single line, you can actually have multiple lines. And the cool thing about that we're sort of seeing is that things like in schools where kids have to recognize graphs, for instance. So a graph is very visual, right? It's presented visually. In school, what we have to get the teachers to do is to change it from a visual layout to audio, or they actually have to impress some sort of tactile representation of that graph. With some of these devices now, these multi-line Braille displays, it can actually provide imagery of what you're trying to view. So an example, I think this particular device comes with a whole bunch of, or I've seen devices like it where it comes with a whole bunch of animals. So it's actually the outline of the animal. And someone that I used to work with quite closely here mentioned that he's never actually, he doesn't know what a bear feels like. He never seen one. So he doesn't quite understand the layout of a bear. And so we were able to bring up the outline of a bear that he could feel in Braille as he moved around. So there's kind of these cool technologies that are still emerging in Braille, which has been great to see, and translating that across to mobility canes and things like that. And I saw at the recent CSUN Accessibility Expo, which is held over in Los Angeles, they are releasing a product which is kind of like a walking cane, but at the end, it's kind of got this this round body with two wheels on each side, and it's got a camera. And the idea is that this particular thing will have an artificial intelligence in it, which can kind of navigate and talk to you about what it sees as you move around. And that's, I don't know whether that will ever replace a dog guide, or whether that will ever replace, people using a cane that we know it as. But certainly that stuff's happening, and people are innovating in that space. So that's just one example of where technology is kind of being looked at. The use of artificial intelligence is coming into physical objects, and how we've traditionally used them. It's changing a little bit.
Yeah, and look, the glasses would operate the same, I would presume, as what you can see, and you could ask directions and that type.
Yep, 100%. And you can be walking around, and we've kind of had that technology for a little bit. You can be walking down the main street, and whatever it sees in its glasses in terms of text, or and certainly on an iPhone camera, it will announce back what's around you. And some apps use your GPS location, so they actually know where you are. And as you kind of walk up, it'll announce and ping shops on this side and ping shops on that side. So that technology's been around for a little while, but it's kind of evolving into being faster, more accurate, quicker, all those kinds of things.
And I know with our digital media team here as well, we've had them out to speak to us. And there's been instances where, like you described, people can't see a photograph. And if they're blind, they want to see what a dog looks like or what a bear looks like you just described. And they can actually make tactile objects within our digital media team. What's it called? Print access team, sorry, our print access team. So they can make a photograph with different textures, so you can feel what a photograph looks like as well, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, one of the new things that came out in CSUN is kind of like, if you can imagine a camera that's pointing down to a table, and on that table there's like a 3D representation of a particular building, like a famous building or something like that. And wherever you place your finger, it will announce what that particular is. So it could be, this is the staircase that leads up to the library, or whatever that might be. So again, there is innovation in this area of using sort of tactile mediums to understand objects and understand places and understand geographic locations and those kinds of things. I've even seen, unfortunately, it didn't go any further than the prototype, but AFL is a popular game here in Australia. There was an actual device that they created where you could feel the ball and where it was moving across the pitch. So you actually had an understanding of listening to the commentary of where the ball was, but unfortunately they couldn't get it quick enough to be in real time. So I don't think it went any further, but there's still these kind of great ideas that are coming out, and maybe in 10 years they'll revisit that particular tool, and it will be as quick. So yeah,
but will we be as quick to move our hand as
yeah,
the
that's
ball?
right. Exactly.
And the last question we've got here is, how do emerging technologies like AI and virtual reality have the potential to transform well-being and care?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, again, if we go back to the conversation that I had with the AI, that's kind of a new world for us, and that's kind of changing. And I think the independence that someone can get to talking to something like that, as opposed to having to rely on someone to find information for them, is pretty powerful. And I think that's going to develop further. I think you'll be able to say things to an AI, to a voice assistant, to help you book flights, or to help you plan a holiday, or whatever it might be. I think it's going to get more ingrained in the tools that we use daily. Banking probably will come into that at some point, I would imagine. I think where it's kind of going, and again, not to freak anyone out about it, but it is happening, is there's this idea that robotics will come into play. And I heard in an article that I read that some of these people think that in the next 10, 20 years, it's not going to be uncommon for us to actually have a human robot in our homes. And that particular robot could be powered by artificial intelligence. It can learn to do particular tasks that we tell it to do. So my retirement's looking great. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fantastic. But yeah, that is actually happening. They are building these robots. They are using them in factories. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is a whole nother topic, but let's just stick with the technology for now. So yeah, these robots can do tasks that people can do. And they say that some of these robots have been trained to collect your dishes and put them in the dishwasher and turn it on. With artificial intelligence built into that, you can imagine talking to a robot and asking it, to, give me some instructions on how to get to where I'm going. And it can dial the cab for you. It can walk you to your door. It can help you out. Is robot dogs going to be a thing where, as opposed to a dog guide, it could be a robot dog that you're actually using to walk around? I've seen videos of people actually riding these robot dogs through the jungle and things like that. So it's moving super fast. It's super cool. It's super scary all at the same time. Who knows where it's going to land? But I think there is a lot of potential for the well-being and the care for us as we kind of grow older to be enhanced by these particular tools. And I think that's kind of really exciting for us.
It's a very exciting space, and I guess watch this space. We've got a question here from Cara Dahl. Are the recordings available for these webinars, as I have missed the start of this presentation? So yes, the recordings will go on YouTube. They will end up in a playlist, and each session will be uploaded a few days after they go live. And an email will also be sent out with the links once all 4 webinars have been completed. So this is the second webinar in the series of webinars. So I hope that answers your question. Now, is there anything else you want to talk about before we finish up?
No, I think that's kind of covered it. Again, I just want to kind of reiterate to everyone out there that in my experience, it's the people that don't ask the question about what's available that kind of not necessarily get left behind, but it could be that something's so much easier than the way you're currently doing it. So I would suggest that if you think about something that you'd rather do a lot more easily than what you're currently doing, or you've got a particular challenge, or that you'd like to get back into something and you don't think there's a way, it's just worth asking the question to Vision Australia and to our access technology specialists, because we do come up with a whole bunch of solutions that could fit you. So I'll give you one example just before I leave. I was working with a client down in Warrnambool. It's about 3 hours away from Geelong, where I'm based. And for 2 years, she wasn't able to play solitaire on her computer because of her vision. And she didn't reach out, but she finally sort of made the call, or I think her daughter might have made the call to us. I got asked to go out and visit her, which I did. And there was just one setting in solitaire which says, change the cards from normal size to large size. She could then see the cards and she could play solitaire, and she just burst out crying. So it's an example of, she didn't know what was available. For us, very, very quick fix. It didn't take any time at all. I asked her, is there anything else I can do to help you? I've come out to see you. I've I've got an hour here, you know, what else do you want to work on? She said, that's all I wanted, was just to play solitaire. So again, please ask the questions if you think there might be something that you want to work on, or something that we can support you with.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be afraid to reach out. I mean, I've had clients do the Alexa program and they're not very technologically advanced, and some of the information went over their heads. So again, reached out to the lovely Andreas in Newcastle, and he was able to send somebody out there to actually go out and help this person with some of the things they got stuck on. So they probably didn't want to do all the things that Alexa does, but in particular wanted to link it to their phone so their appointment reminders could come up. And that was, again, a simple fix. Just set a, spend 10 minutes assisting this client, and all of their appointments were reminding them every single day of what they needed to do and where they needed to go. And it just made their life so much easier. I have another question here from Jean asking, they live in Robina. Is there support in Robina? Yes, most definitely. We have an office in Robina. I don't know. We definitely have assistive technology people, I'm sure, in Robina. Would you know more about who's at Robina?
Where's Robina? Sorry, probably my geographic locations.
Queensland. It's on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, we do, absolutely. So we've got people there that can help, and we've actually got a whole bunch of technologists up that coast, right up until I think Townsville is the top end of where we have a technology specialist, but they also travel for that. So yeah, I think for remote locations, there's often someone nearby. It might be that they come down for a particular time or a particular session. I also would say that if you're very remote, nowadays with the use of technology, is that we can dial in and we can actually help you that way as well. So that's also a possibility to think about, and we can help consult with you on whether that's an option or not. So yeah, it's again just worth reaching out.
Perfect. I'm pretty sure we can help in most states in Australia, but except WA and Tasmania, I believe. But like you said, you go over to Tasmania. So
no, even with Tasmania, we dial in. So you know, we have worked with clients in the past where we provide remote training, and
yes,
depending on what it is, it can work really, really well, and it can actually suit people more than face to face, because it's at a time of day that they prefer. They don't have to kind of get ready and get things sorted. So yeah, sometimes it is actually a very valuable option and useful option for them.
perfect. And Robin's asked, I'm really interested in the Meta glasses. Is Vision Australia going to stock them, or is there any way of trying them out?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So there are some sites that do have Meta glasses. I'm not too sure whether we stock them at the moment to sell. I think that's still a discussion that's happening. So I can't give you any information on actually buying them from Vision Australia direct, unfortunately. Again, with funding, we're sort of working through that a little bit. At the moment, they can't be funded through the NDIS at least, and probably not through any other funding streams at the moment, because one of the reasons behind it is that it's not a vision specific item just yet. It's seen as a mainstream item because you can buy them in anywhere. You don't have to come to Vision Australia to get them. So yeah, Meta is kind of a conversation that's happening in the background, but at the moment, we do have some areas that do have them, and it's mainly for the ATSs, our technology specialists, to learn about them, because we know our clients are going to get them and we want to support them with it. So again, it's probably a conversation with the area to see if there's some of those in the area. Some places have them, some places don't.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect answer. Because at the end of the day, you need to contact your local office, and your local office will be able to support you in your area. All right. Well, it looks as though they're all the questions that we have today. Thanks so much for coming on, Kent. This has been really interesting and fascinating. I've loved listening to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I hope everyone found it, if not useful, at least interesting. So yeah, let's see how we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Kent. Okay,
Appreciate
bye,
it.
everyone.